Back to Rave Recap. Today, I will make sense of the film The Woman Shogun at Her Man delivered in the year 2010. The film opens up in the 1800 years during the decision time of a Japanese dynasty called Shutoko. During this time a risky sickness called the red face pox spreads around the country. Just men experience the ill effects of the infection, which is dangerous to such an extent that 8 out of 10 men who experience the ill effects of the infection bite the dust. This causes an uncommon decay. The male populace passing on just a single man to each 4 ladies. After this, every one of the strong political and monetary positions which were recently held by men are supplanted by ladies. Additionally, become dependable to do all the labor and development work to make a procuring for the family, while the men are dealt with like fortunes and remained careful at home. The men's responsibility is to simply deal with themselves, look wonderful, and offer seed to ladies who need to have children. They are viewed as extravagant things that must be arranged by the women of rich families, some of them, and furthermore fill in as whores to bring in cash for them and for their families. In this matriarchal society, the Mizuno families battling to put food on the table. The family additionally incorporates a youthful and attractive kid, she who loves to rehearse swordsmanship and wishes to turn into an extraordinary fighter in the future, notwithstanding the basic monetary circumstances. Yuniyoshi's mom never permits him to get into prostitution and procure for the family. For this sort of conduct, you realize she is extremely thankful to his mom and furthermore cherishes her definitely. While different men invest the vast majority of their energy and cosmetics and wonderful dresses, you realize she works on being a samurai as well as being a gifted fighter. You realize she is likewise popular for his generosity, as he helps ladies who are frantic to have a child liberated from cost for pulling theirs. Various rich young ladies should be visible moving toward Shane's home to request his hand in marriage. Anyway, you realize she declines every one of them and lets his mom know that she ought to rather zero in on finding a reasonable dinner for a sister. Then again, you realize she has fallen head over heels for his lifelong companion Oniku. In view of Nobu has a place with a rich family, you realize she has never been sufficiently gallant to move toward her and put his heart at risk. He's very much aware of the monetary and status contrast between the two families, and consistently likes to stay away from home. Logo in the following you realize she should be visible addressing his family about his choice to join Oko, the inward office of a palace where the ones who deal with the queen live. He is doing as such to assist this family with elevating their monetary status and to stay away from an honorable. The individuals from the team were attempting to look lovely and definitely stand out from the queen, otherwise called Woman Shogun. Prior to leaving OK, you realize she wants an oboe who attempts to prevent him from joining our center, as it will destroy their relationship. Anyway, you realize she leaves, yet not before he establishes a kiss on her. Following this, you realize she shows up at the palace in Pax Matsushima, one of the individuals from higher position in OK, to allow him to join the gathering. Matsushima hesitantly acknowledges and show them around, letting him know that he ought to begin from the least position of the gathering by tidying up and dealing with the higher positioning men's possessions. He additionally specifies that on the off chance that his administrations and commitment to the specialist palatable, he will ultimately get elevated to the higher positions. Here we get to realize that the ongoing Woman Shogun is just 7 years of age, giving adequate opportunity to the young to plan themselves and rival each other to dazzle the sovereign before she gets to a fitting age soon. Matsushima, and you realize she'll go over Fujinami, the main most elevated positioning, cash off limits prior to withdrawing. Matsushima recommend that you realize she never let out the slightest peep about our center and the custom to anybody outside. Some other time, when you realize she wants his chamber eat different individuals from his position, he is harassed by a gathering of men. The police ridicule Yoshin's hairdo when does approach to dressing. Anyway, he utilizes his better abilities than retaliate. He then illuminates the young men about the significance regarding such haircut for a samurai in his beginning days. Uncool, you realize she has given more family undertakings than some other individual from the gathering. In spite of this, unit ought to never grumbles and finish jobs effortlessly while working. The young men keep on disturbing him, kicking and keeping in mind that conveying food and rebuffing interstate hungry for days. One night you realize she gets gone after by 3 of the great positioning, that you realize she is pretty and need to satisfy their actual cravings with them. Anyway, you realize she'll effectively overcome them and send them away. The following day you realize she chats with one of the individuals working with them Tsukushi stuff and educate them concerning what befell him around evening time. To wish is the answers that it's typical for a man to have an actual connection with different men. In Oko he makes reference to that as there are no ladies in the Yuku and the woman shogun is just 7 years of age. The men are constrained to satisfy their longings by sleeping with each other. Additionally lets us know in that assuming one can make a decent connection with high positioning man, he has a higher likelihood of getting elevated to one more wreck here in this universe, and feels sickening as it seems like the men are squandering their seeds on each other when they can really help different ladies outside the palace, their kids, and provide them a motivation to reside in the accompanying scene. While cleaning around the palace university, here's my for rehearsing Jojo and picks at them through a little opening from outside. In the wake of taking a gander at them for quite a while, he begins rehearsing the dojo moves involving a brush in his grasp. Fortunately you realize she'll get spotted by Fujinami while rehearsing, and the US resident to go into the training room and join the others. Fujinami appears to be intrigued by college's dojo abilities, so regardless of the control's rank not being permitted to rehearse dojo, he makes an exemption and permits units into a battle with one of the best dojo fighters, Satoka. Everybody just snickered at she and assumed that you will be thumped up. However, shockingly you realize she doesn't get some margin to overcome Satoka. Even subsequent to getting pulsated by Univision, Sudoku keeps on disparaging him and ridicule his contemptible dojo talent. Later around evening time, Yunioshi has a serious discussion with Sulashista, educating him regarding his pessimistic sentiments about the Yuku bunch. Anyway, Tsukushi Star informs him concerning how Haohoku assisted him with bringing in cash for his family and proceed is living. Hearing this, Yunioshi views himself as fortunate to have been naturally introduced to a strong family. The following day the fresh insight about Hiroshinda spreads all over Roku, and different men begin preferring and praising Yunioshi. All over Roku, and different men begin enjoying and praising Yunioshi. Around evening time, Toroka, who gets the spice by Fujinami for his last methodologies, Shane and challenges him for one more go head-to-head at first unit in quite a while. However, that's what later he concurs, yet as he can't remain against the request for high positioning man after a savage fight Zuropa in misfortunes to Univision, and as a result of the embarrassment of the last he ends his own life. Appears to Roka battling to kick the bucket. You realize she moves toward him and behead him out of mercy. The following day the 7-year-old woman shogun suddenly passed on because of a disease and is supplanted by a grown-up, a more vivacious and stripped show guide, still up in the air to work to improve the nation and plans to elevate the economy and make further improvements. She promptly discharged as a woman who proposed she wear extravagant garments and look lovely all the time. Later the new shogun is it to the city to gather a development about the circumstance of individuals masked as a typical individual. She witnesses men being kept in houses of ill repute and being treated as wares. Then again the numerous neighborhood get energized and begin setting themselves up to rival one another and dazzle the new woman shogun. Just that high positioning men are permitted to come before Lady Shogun, so Univision gets no opportunity to meet her. Fortunately that very night Fujinami Shane and elevate him to a higher gathering, making him qualified to contend with others for the assistance of the queen. Later, while settling its dress for the event, unit ought to meet with the designer Purpose Bar and selects a dress having negligible plans and straightforward varieties. Following their purpose, what tries sincerely and readies a delightful dress for solidarity, and dazzled by his work you realize she attempts to give Purpose. How could something valuable doesn't yet find anything to give hands? He cases Purpose was an appreciation for his work. The scene when shift of the day where every one of the great positioning men request to welcome the woman shogun as different men are wearing energetic varieties and fashioner garments. They ridicule the Russian for wearing dark fabric with insignificant plans. Soon the woman shogun shows up there and strolled past them with every one of them in keeping their heads, where unexpectedly she stumbles on her dress and somebody behind her chuckles. Promptly the woman shogun turns around and requests a large number from her to save the man close to him. You realize she approaches and assumes the fault. Shockingly the woman shogun moved toward him and asked him his name. After seeing his basic dress and blameless face, she even welcomed him to lay down with her the next evening, leaving everybody stand in the followings as one should be visible before Fujinami, who illuminates him that the primary man who lays down with a woman shogun is viewed as the mystery's wane and ought to relinquish their life after the night. He likewise specifies that taking woman shoguns Virginity is a wrongdoing and one will get decapitated subtly for the demonstration. Moreover, Fujinami lets you know she and that his family will get a tremendous measure of cash for his sake. During this you realize she'll acknowledge his discipline and consents to lay down with the woman appeared simultaneously. Woman Shogun is additionally educated about the custom, leaving her astonished and confused. Later around evening time, Fujinami and Matsushima are playing a tabletop game and examining how you realize she will be executed. It is then uncovered that Matsushima Fujinami deliberately made you know she and the privileged insights trained to dispose of him as a contender since they accepted him as a danger. After the demise of Sienna, Matsushima plans to intrigue Woman Shogun and be a dad to work. It's then again you realize she should be visible considering about Enugu. Prior to setting himself up for the night with Woman Show fellow, later he cleans up, put on a few cosmetics and approaches Woman Shogun's space to meet her. Soon the Woman Shogun shows up there and gets going the discussion by asking his own name. She additionally tells her own name to Bean Oval after figuring out that the Shogun's name is like that of his experience growing up. Darling, or no, do you realize? Shane's eyes load up with tears. He feels thankful for getting the potential chance to go through this the previous evening with an individual that has a comparable name to 1/4 in this. To begin kissing one another and make enthusiastic love. The following morning you realize she was educated, that he prevailed with regards to satisfying the woman appeared. Later we see and persuading ready to be executed before the authorities. Soon one of the authorities puts katana Yuniyoshi's neck and killed him. Seikwa Shilasisto cry over Yuniyoshi's passing, that while his family gets an attractive measure of cash with a letter of sympathy expressing that she passed on from a sickness. The scene then, at that point, quick forward half a month, where Onabui realize who should be visible visiting Yuniyoshi's burial place and offering him blossoms. Here we get to know that Onabu still loves Yuniyoshi and has not failed to remember him. Shockingly, while Onabu is cleaning her tires, Yuniyoshi shows up before her alive. He then, at that point, uncovers that Woman Shogun is merciful. She sent a mysterious man to save him from getting executed. He then, at that point, uncovers that Woman Shogun as merciful as we sent the mystery intended to express them from getting executed, then set him free from welcome to carry on with a free life. In spite of pronouncing him that I realize who rushes towards Shane and embrace him tight, making him vow to at no point ever leave her in the future. In the last scene, that Woman Shogun lets every one of the men out of Oko to carry on with a day-to-day existence without anyone else and to set a monetary weight free from the country's economy. She further expresses that the men can assist different ladies with considering kids and even declare is to give them a cash in the first place. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Make sure to subscribe, also leave a comment and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.